Nathan had been enjoying his time on the Ocean Delight, sipping a piña colada while chatting with a few men at the bar. His wife, Samantha, was taking a gardening class on board, a part of the special itinerary for their 30th anniversary. As Nathan leaned on the railing, his gaze drifting over the endless ocean, something caught his eye that made him curious. 3 small boats were speeding toward the ship. At first, he dismissed them as ordinary fishermen, but as they drew closer, a sense of unease gripped him. Nathan's instincts, honed from years of military service, kicked in. "All hands on deck," he shouted, his voice carrying across the deck as passengers and crew got startled. Pirates, armed and ready for confrontation, were approaching fast. But Nathan had a plan forming in his mind, one that could turn the tables on these attackers. Nathan was a retired military officer who had seen more than his fair share of dangerous situations. After years of service, he and his wife, Samantha, had finally taken the time to enjoy a well-deserved vacation. They boarded the Ocean Delight with a sense of excitement, eager to celebrate their 30th wedding anniversary in the peaceful embrace of the open sea. The day had started perfectly, with the sun shining brightly and the waters calm. As the morning wore on, Nathan found himself lounging by the cruise ship's bar, a piña colada in hand. The warmth of the sun and the gentle sway of the ship lulled him into a rare moment of relaxation. He leaned on the railing, gazing out at the vast expanse of ocean, allowing his mind to drift as the horizon stretched endlessly before him. It was a picture-perfect moment, one that seemed almost too serene to be real. But as Nathan's gaze lingered on the horizon, something unusual caught his eye. 2 small boats were racing toward the cruise ship, their speed far too aggressive to be ordinary fishermen going about their daily routine. He watched them for a moment, his military instincts on high alert. At first, he tried to dismiss the thought, hoping they were just locals eager to catch a glimpse of the grand ship. But as the boats drew nearer, the ominous truth became impossible to ignore. Through the glare of the sun on the water, Nathan spotted the unmistakable glint of weapons in the hands of the men on the boats. His heart sank, and a familiar rush of adrenaline coursed through his veins. These men weren't here to fish. In an instant, Nathan's mind shifted gears, every muscle in his body tensing as he prepared to act. There was no time to waste. "All hands on deck," he shouted, instantly drawing the attention of the crew and passengers nearby. Panic spread like wildfire as the passengers realized the danger they were in. Screams echoed across the deck as people fled in every direction, desperate to find safety. The crew, caught off guard by the sudden threat, scrambled to take action. But the situation was already spiraling out of control. Nathan remained rooted to the spot, his years of training keeping him calm even as chaos erupted around him. He knew that running wouldn't solve anything. The only option was to fight back. Nathan's pulse quickened as he pulled out his phone, urgently dialing Samantha. "Sam, listen to me," he said, his voice a low but firm command. "Get to our room and lock the door. Don't open it for anyone, no matter what you hear." The worry in his voice was impossible to hide, but he knew she'd understand the seriousness. She gave a tense agreement before hanging up, leaving Nathan with the task at hand. He bolted toward the captain's quarters, a few security guards following close behind. He sprinted toward the captain's room, flanked by the security guards who had responded to his call to action. They moved quickly through the corridors, their footsteps echoing in the tense silence that had fallen over the ship. Every second counted now. They burst into the captain's room, where Nathan wasted no time explaining the situation. The captain, a grizzled veteran of the seas, didn't need convincing. He immediately ordered evasive maneuvers, trying to steer the ship away from the imminent threat. The ship groaned as the engines roared, the crew working feverishly to outmaneuver the attackers. For a fleeting moment, Hope flickered. Perhaps they could outrun the pirates. But then, a third boat appeared, almost as if from nowhere, and rammed into the side of the ship. The pirates threw grappling hooks and started climbing up. Nathan felt the cold weight of reality settle in. They were boarding. Nathan turned to the captain, urging him to make an announcement. The captain's voice crackled over the ship's intercom, urging passengers to seek shelter and lock their doors. He was horrified at the thought of any crew member or passenger encountering the pirates and being kidnapped or worse. After that, Nathan asked the captain to quickly shut off the ship's engines, leaving it adrift at the mercy of the ocean. As the crew and passengers followed the orders, the pirates boarded the ship. There were 5 of them, armed with old AK-47s. Though they appeared disorganized, their stealthy boarding showed this wasn't their first time. But this ship was much larger than any of them had ever tackled before. Unsure where to begin, the pirates hesitated. They knew they couldn't commandeer the ship. It was too big. But having come this far, they were determined to leave with something valuable. Jack, their leader, devised a quick plan. They aimed to find the passengers and gather cash and other expensive items from them. One pirate suggested contacting others for help, but Jack dismissed the idea. He didn't trust other pirates and barely trusted his own crew. They knew other pirates would likely seize the most valuable items for themselves. This was a job for the 5 of them alone. To pull it off, they needed to capture some of the passengers as hostages and execute their plan. But the entire ship was engulfed in an eerie silence. The ship's engines were off, and the vessel was still. The pirates exchanged wary glances, sensing that this wasn't going to be an easy task at all. Meanwhile, Nathan had remained in the control room, tracking their movements through the cameras, and felt relieved when they split up. This division would simplify his counterattack. He could first deal with the pair, then focus on the trio. Nathan, with the help of the captain, quickly gathered a small team of security personnel in the control room, their faces tense but determined. He outlined his plan swiftly, knowing that time was of the essence. Unbeknownst to the pirates, their fate was being sealed. The security guards swiftly left to set the trap, while the 2 pirates on deck grew increasingly uneasy, their fear of an ambush mounting with each uncertain step. As the 2 pirates crept along the ship, their confidence waned. The massive vessel's silence was unnerving. Being new to piracy and completely out of their depth, they felt lost. In the control room, Nathan and the captain swiftly sketched out a plan. Nathan quickly assembled a small team of security personnel in the control room, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. He laid out his plan with the precision of a seasoned tactician and scoured the ship's storage for supplies. As the 2 pirates crept along the ship, their confidence waned. The massive vessel's silence was unnerving. Being new to piracy and completely out of their depth, they felt lost. In the control room, Nathan and the captain swiftly sketched out a plan. Nathan quickly assembled a small team of security personnel in the control room, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. He laid out his plan with the precision of a seasoned tactician and scoured the ship's storage for supplies. With the supplies in hand, Nathan led his team out onto the deck, where the tension was palpable. He positioned himself as the bait, walking onto the deck with a drink in hand, trying to appear as just another oblivious passenger. Nathan's heart pounded in his chest, but he forced his expression to remain casual as he leaned against the railing. The 2 pirates, emboldened by the seeming ease of their assault, spotted him and started making their way over. Their weapons hanging at their sides, they were grinning, confident in their control over the ship and the helplessness of its passengers. As they closed in, Nathan could see the greed in their eyes. When the pirates were just a few steps away, the security team, hidden and waiting, sprang into action. In a swift, coordinated move, they dropped the large fishing net from above ensnaring the pirates before they could raise their weapons. The net, heavy with the weight of the tarps, pinned them to the deck as they thrashed and cursed in a mix of surprise and rage. Nathan wasted no time. He rushed forward with the security team, quickly securing the pirates, binding their hands and feet with rope. The pirates struggled, their bravado quickly evaporating as they realized they'd been outmaneuvered. As the pirates lay incapacitated, Nathan allowed himself a moment to catch his breath. The trap had worked flawlessly, but the victory was fleeting. He knew more pirates were still out there, and they wouldn't be as easy to subdue. Under the harsh fluorescent lights of the crew's mess hall, Nathan quickly convened a huddle. With urgency in his voice, he outlined their next move. The security personnel's eyes locked on him, understanding the gravity of their situation. "We've got the upper hand now. But we must stay sharp," he urged, his gaze steady and commanding. Nathan moved with purpose back to the control room, ensuring every possible communication device in the crate was jammed. Determined that no word of their success should reach Jack, Nathan worked quickly. Keeping the other 3 pirates in the dark was crucial in maintaining their advantage and safeguarding the crew and passengers from any potential backlash. Eyes fixed on the ship's surveillance monitors, Nathan watched Captain Jack and his remaining crew like a seasoned predator. The grainy black and white images flickered with each movement of the pirates, providing real-time intelligence. Gathering the crew once more, Nathan ordered them in a calm yet firm tone. "Stay out of sight. Stay safe. We're not through this yet." He stressed the importance of stealth, knowing their lives depended on the element of surprise. In the hushed confines of the control room, Nathan asked the captain to contact the Coast Guards and relay the dire situation of the cruise ship to the authorities. Over the static-filled line, the captain detailed the scenario. 2 pirates were captured, but Jack and his armed crew were still at large. With the message sent, a tense silence enveloped the control room. Nathan and the guards waited, the weight of each passing second heavy in the air. Despite having reached out for help, Nathan knew the situation was far from over. He constantly surveyed the monitors, his mind racing with strategies, prepared to act at a moment's notice. Finally, the radio buzzed to life with the Coast Guard's response. They acknowledged the precariousness of the situation and were devising an approach plan, aiming to board the ship with minimal escalation. Their words brought a glimmer of hope, yet Nathan still remained on edge. He knew that the vessel was far out in the Arabian Sea, at least 3 hours away from the nearest coast. Steadying himself for what lay ahead, he got ready for his next move. Nathan knew that confronting the pirates with weapons can lead to unnecessary bloodshed. He considered the stakes. The crew might get injured, or worse, the passengers could panic, revealing their hiding spots and giving the pirates a deadly advantage. Yet doing nothing wasn't an option. Nathan understood that the pirates, frustrated by the ship's eerie silence, would soon turn violent. As Nathan watched on the CCTV, Captain Jack led his remaining men through the ship's corridors with increased caution. The absence of their 2 comrades was alarming. Jack's instincts told him something was amiss. He motioned for his men to move quietly. As they moved deeper into the ship, the eerie silence weighed heavily on them. Captain Jack's grip tightened around his weapon as they searched through the rooms looking for a sign of their comrades. With each empty room, their alertness grew. It was as if their comrades had vanished into thin air. His men exchanged nervous glances, the weight of their situation pressing down on them. Captain Jack's mind raced, each step forward feeling like a step deeper into danger. He knew that any wrong move could trigger a deadly confrontation with the crew. The tension was suffocating, every creak of the ship's hull making them jump. The absence of his missing team gnawed at him. He could sense they were being watched by an unseen enemy. 25. From his vantage point, Nathan watched Jack's every move, analyzing his tactics. He knew that outsmarting Jack would require a careful blend of patience and ingenuity. Nathan's mind worked overtime, piecing together a plan to neutralize the threat. In a quiet corner of the control room, Nathan briefed his makeshift crew. "We can't underestimate these men," he warned, his voice low and serious. They needed a plan that accounted for Jax's experience and unpredictability. The crew listened intently, aware of the high stakes. Meanwhile, in the echoing corridors of the ship, Jack's frustration boiled over into aggression. With a scowl etched deep on his face, he fired his AK-47 into the steel ceiling. The loud bangs reverberated throughout the vessel, driven by anger and frustration. Emboldened by their leader's display, the remaining pirates also unleashed a volley of gunfire into the air. They hoped the noise would flush out hiding crew members, not realizing they were making the grave mistake of revealing their own locations. Jack's voice boomed through the ship's corridors, issuing threats and commands. "Come out, or we'll find you," he bellowed, his voice laced with menace. The ship seemed to shudder under the weight of his threats, escalating the tension with each passing moment. In stark contrast to the chaos unfolding outside, Nathan remained calm in the control room. His eyes never left the surveillance screens, his mind racing, yet focused. He quietly relayed instructions to his crew, his voice a steady anchor amidst the storm. In a decisive moment, Nathan resolved to confront Captain Jack alone. He believed that by wearing the captain's uniform and facing the pirates head-on, he could convince them to follow him to the trap. This would give him the opportunity to neutralize them from within. The plan was undeniably risky, but Nathan had faced life-and-death situations before. As a soldier, he was trained for moments like this. He wasn't about to let innocent passengers and crew come to harm under his watch. The crew exchanged worried glances upon hearing Nathan's plan, their faces etched with concern. Despite their apprehension, they trusted his judgment, a trust earned by his bravery and years of frontline experience. They prepared to support him in any way possible. With nods of reluctant agreement, they continued to secure the ship's various compartments. Each action reinforced their faith in Nathan's strategy. Nathan equipped himself with non-lethal tools, aiming to outsmart rather than engage in a physical fight with Captain Jack. He borrowed a stun gun and handcuffs from the security staff, tools that would incapacitate without causing harm. His approach reflected his belief in resolving conflicts through wit and strategy rather than brute force. Nathan's focus was clear: end the crisis with minimal violence. Aware of the risks, Nathan steered his course towards Jack's last known location. His steps were measured and silent, blending caution and determination. His mind remained alert to every sound and movement aboard the ship, ready for anything. As Nathan moved closer to Jack's position, a tense, uneasy silence enveloped the ship. The usual chatter and sounds of the crews seemed to quieten down, as if the ship itself held its breath. The atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation and the unknown. Rounding a corner, Nathan came face to face with Captain Jack and his men. With a steady gait and an unwavering gaze, he stepped into their line of sight. The pirates, surprised by his sudden appearance, raised their weapons, but Nathan remained composed. The pirates hesitated. Upon looking at Nathan's uniform, Jack got a glint of greed in his eyes. This is what he wanted. Nathan stood firm and confident, his mind racing with potential outcomes and strategies. Captain Jack's eyes narrowed, sensing the resolve in Nathan's stance. With every second that passed, the weight of the moment intensified. Nathan's crew, hidden but watchful, held their breath, ready to act on his signal. Held at gunpoint, Nathan's voice was calm and controlled as he spoke. "I am the captain of this ship, and I can lead you to the ship's most valuable cargo. he offered. "Please take that and leave my passengers alone." He continued. Jack narrowed his eyes, suspicion and greed warring within him. Surely securing the cargo would be better than wasting his time finding hostages. After a tense moment, he nodded, agreeing to follow Nathan, but keeping his weapon trained on him. Nathan led the way, weaving through the ship's labyrinth of corridors. Each step was deliberate, guiding them deeper into his trap. He maintained a steady pace, giving nothing away, while remaining acutely aware of every sound and shadow. They arrived at the designated area, a seemingly unremarkable spot amidst the cargo hold of the cruise. With a subtle signal, unseen by the pirates, Nathan alerted his hidden crew. The tension was palpable, every crew member poised for action. Nathan had led the pirates to an artfully chosen crate, filled to the brim with glittering jewelry. The sight of the treasure sparked a gleam in the pirates' eyes. Two of them hastily began filling their bags, their attention completely diverted from Nathan. While the pirates were preoccupied, Captain Jack's attention was caught by another crate marked as containing high-value electronics. As he leaned over to inspect it, Nathan seized the moment. With a quick push, he sent Jack tumbling into a concealed hole. The moment Captain Jack disappeared into the trap, Nathan's crew sprang into action. They emerged from their hiding spots, moving swiftly and silently. Caught off guard, the remaining pirates stood little chance against the well-coordinated team. The crew worked together seamlessly, and within moments, they had the remaining pirates subdued, their arms securely bound behind their backs. The danger that had loomed over the cruise was now neutralized, and the ship was finally safe. With the pirates neutralized, Nathan led his team to do a thorough sweep of the ship. They moved methodically from bow to stern, ensuring no other threats lurked aboard. They checked each corridor and room, and secured every door. Nathan moved swiftly through the ship, his heart pounding as he headed toward his room. Urgency fueled his steps, driven by the need to ensure his wife's safety. When he finally reached Samantha, the sight of her unharmed brought a flood of relief. Once satisfied that all passengers and crew were accounted for and unharmed, he went back to the deck to assess the situation with the Coast Guards. On the horizon, the silhouette of the Coast Guard cutter became visible. The sight of the approaching vessel brought a collective sense of relief to the crew. As the Coast Guards approached, Nathan prepared to transfer control of the situation, the weight of responsibility gradually lifting from his shoulders. Upon the Coast Guard's arrival, Nathan led them to where the pirates were detained. One by one, the pirates were handed over, including Captain Jack, who still seemed dazed by the swift turn of events. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the calm sea, Nathan finally exhaled, a deep sense of relief washing over him. Standing beside Samantha, he held her close and thanked the heavens. What an eventful anniversary this was.